Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Because it's time to write now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right.
Wow, I was like, the thing was muted that entire time. Oh, man, that's funny. That was a me problem. The thing auto muted when I changed to this layout. Well, you guys just have to get good at Kauffman saying, apparently. Oh, that's really funny. I'm just gonna start all the streams for the next week on mute, and you can just like fill in my words. It'll be like, picture what Kauffman's saying. Writing. It's like when I think of Charlie Brown, I was like, writing, wah wah, and start writing, wah wah. Oh man, I'm cracking myself up. Hey, what's up, friends? Good to see all y'all. Welcome. Unknown, glad to have you back here in the stream. Calvin, Tiara, what is up? And Morgana, welcome back, my friend. Hopefully, we are all getting some solid progress on our writing. So, you guys all know the drill. We're doing 3 writing sprints today and seeing what progress we can make. I got 40% of the way through my second draft. I made some great breakthrough last night. So, I'm really happy with where I'm at. Where am I was like, am I content with where it is at? I'm trying to think of if I should move to the next part or if I should what? Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. Before I get into so what we'll do is we'll do the 3 writing sprints. You guys know the drill, but before we get into it, I need to read the last section of what I just wrote on. It's actually really more for me. Like, I need to hear it read aloud and make sure that it actually makes sense. But of course, you guys listen in along and let me know what you think. I need to make sure that each of the character voices sound distinct, because this is the full introduction at the Grizzly Bear chapter. It's finished. I went back and I tweaked a little bit, and I think I'm happy with where it's at, but I need to make sure that this character introduction is on point. I feel really great about the Crow introduction. I feel great about the Pixie introduction, but I need to make sure that the Gore introduction works. So you guys can just listen in along, and then I'll hop into the writing sprints. And all right. Where am I at? Okay. So I need to see how this sounds. You guys can let me know what you think. Okay. So let's see. Where am I at? All right. So the introduction, they pulled the grizzly bear out of the lake. All right. So I'm like, do I mean, I haven't reviewed the lake. Technically, the lake is part 1 of his introduction. Okay. All right. I just need to see how this sounds that this transition works. Okay. Even though the animal was on the ground face first, it was obviously a bear. Not only was it drenched in muck, but it was massive. Patches of fur were missing along the shoulder blades and back, paralleling a giant scar crisscrossed from one shoulder blade down to his lower leg. Still on the ground, legs spread wide, Scarecrow leaned in and tapped the unconscious animal. Hello? Mr. Bear? The bear trembled and lifted his head. Wide hazel eyes, set against white spotted fur, blinked open. Hey, I remember. The bear sniffed the air and howled, with eyes encumbered by rage as his mouth widened, releasing a snarl. Pebble's words were lost as the bear leaped at Scarecrow, grabbed him by the neck, and roared, "What have you done with true love, demon?" The bear pressed Scarecrow to the ground, strangling him as the massive animal pushed him into the earth. He roared for all the forest to hear and lifted a muck-drenched paw into the air. Sharp, vicious claws protracted. Rage, fear, and bloodlust masked his golden brown and white spotted face. Even as Scarecrow struggled to breathe, he recognized that look, the anger, the fear, the confusion. It mirrored the looks of Pebble and Mr. Crow when he had first encountered them. As he choked and eyed those claws, he could only hope for the best because he had to believe in something. Red beanie, blood, the dream, the bear. Scarecrow grabbed one of the scraps of parchment strewn on the ground, holding it before the bear and wheezed, "In one of your maps." All emotion evaporated from the bear's features, replaced by something else. The animal looked around, sniffed the air, and pushed himself off Scarecrow, nearly tumbling over the pixie. He lifted the scrap of parchment into the air, rubbed it against his chest, and peered at the lake as if realizing where he was. With a giant huff, he pressed his muzzle into both paws and trembled violently. Between heavings, he mumbled incoherently, "Apologies, sorry," in that manner for some time. Scarecrow grabbed his own neck, sucking in air as he shared a glance with Pebble. Even Mr. Crow was on his feet, curious. Eventually, the bear stopped shaking as he whipped his face about, collecting himself. "That was a rather ungainly thing to do. Please allow this humble grizzly to begin again." The bear stood up on his hind legs, towering over them, especially Pebble. The bear sniffed himself, nearly choking at the smell, and shook off any remaining muck in one motion. Scarecrow ducked under a blob of muck, while Pebble was showered in it, and Mr. Crow caught some in a mouthful, chewing thoughtfully. With very delicate and precise actions, he patted his chest and bowed deeply to each of them in turn. "I am Gore, the last grizzly. My wanderings must have led me astray into this." He snipped over his shoulder. "Lake. But what dreams I had." He grabbed Scarecrow gently by the shoulder. "I explored the lands." He leaned down as low as he could go, eyeing the pixie, "and traversed the stars." He patted Mr. Crow on the head, who appeared not to mind, "and even savored in the delicacies of real sustenance." His stomach grumbled as he stepped back. "But alas, even in such dreams, these lands are made no less kinder, save for you three. This grizzly is in your debts, Crow." He bowed before Mr. Crow, sharing a profound look before the bird chomped down on his arm. The bear patted him and chuckled a deep, humble laugh. "And Pixie, your kind have I stories." Pebble crossed her arms and rolled her eyes, still shaking muck off herself. Lastly, he turned to Scarecrow. "And straw creature, I admit your kind I know not of." Standing up, he chuckled. "That makes two of us." This followed up with a sigh. "I'm Scarecrow." Pebble knocked on Scarecrow's foot until he picked her up. "This is Pebble, and that's Mr. Crow." Yeah. Nice to know ya. Now get lost, bear." Pebble tapped on Scarecrow's hand and pointed at her ear until he raised her to ear level so she could whisper. "Their kind is dangerous. Don't trust this mutt." As if sensing the apprehension in the air, Gore threw out his paws to either side. "Whilst strangers we may be, my debt is owed. I had a camp nearby." The bear patted himself down, searching for something. "Might have a camp nearby." He searched more profusely while looking around and gathering the pieces of parchment on the ground. He licked a paw and raised it into the air, scanning the small patches of night sky that could be seen above the canopy. "Come, I can offer sustenance and a tad bit of warmth in this abysmal place. Where not? Food is friend, Mr. Crow cawed as he flew onto Gore's shoulder, already along for the ride. Scarecrow glanced down at Pebble and shrugged. They followed the bear away from the lake of muck, but not before Scarecrow could retrieve the living sack and sling it over his shoulder. Whispering in his ear, Pebble said, "Don't forget our deal. I take you to the brazier, and you cough up the gemstone." I also recall a certain pixie promised me the truth, Scarecrow retorted. Gore was just ahead of them as he threaded between snug clumps of trees. Pebble dropped her shoulder and nodded. Yeah. Not around the bear. I don't trust him. There's a reason he's the last of his kind. I'm starting to wonder if we're all the last of our kind at this rate, Scarecrow mumbled as he caught up to Gore and Mr. Crow. Even though the air was dark, the path they cut across was thin, and the ground grew treacherous with bramble. Every once in a while, the bear would sniff a tree, lick the ground, or try to peer up into what visible patches of the night sky could be seen. Upon reaching a dense wall of trees, he walked around the lineup and squished through an opening from which a stream of light poured through between a pair of ancient oaks. Despite his size, he was surprisingly agile. Scarecrow followed suit and stepped into a small clearing surrounded by oaks on all sides. The sun rose high overhead, basking them in light as the moon hid beyond a distant cloud. He rubbed his face, feeling like he had just walked out of a cave. As his eyesight adjusted, he watched Gore move about the makeshift encampment. A tiny bag with scrolls and parchments aplenty lay propped against a tree, while many of the papers were scattered about the clearing, some under rocks, while others were caught in between the trees. Colorful and scratched out sketches of lands adorned many of these parchments. A circle of stones with a metal cup lay dead center beside a rolled out shining mat on the ground. No, Gore muttered as he scooped up parchments left and right in a frenzy. While rushed, the bear still treated each with precision and tenderness. How many rotations must I have slept? Mr. Crow chomped at one of the parchments, to which the bear knocked him gently on the beak. No. The crow flew off to perch on a branch. With his arms bundled full of a parchment, the bear turned towards him and said, Apologies, I forget myself. Sit. Fire may not be necessary. He glanced at the sky. 2 rotations, he muttered. Gore plopped himself against a tree, carefully placing the bundle aside. Sit, please. He rummaged in the pack and fished out a medium-sized, colorfully grainy piece of fruit. While it was a slightly different shape, Scarecrow recognized it as the same food source he had encountered back in the Creator's Cave. Using his claw, the grizzly bear carved it into 4 pieces, tossing both to Scarecrow and the third up in the air for Mr. Crow. Unfortunately, this fruit will deplete my inventory, so savor the taste. Scarecrow handed it to Pebble, which was 3 times the pixie size, and set her down on a rock. He bit into the fruit, luscious, joyful, exuberant, delectable. His stomach rumbled before he realized it was gone. Pebble nibbled at hers while eyeing the bear. So, what brings a scarecrow, a pixie, and a crow together? Gore inquired. Well, you see, Scarecrow began. You first, Grizzly, Pebble interrupted. I see our reputation precedes me, the grizzly chuckled. Gore, if you please. I'll call you whatever I want, Grizz, Pebble spat, not taking her eyes off him. There's not much to know about this humble animal, Gore said, pointing at himself. I'm searching for true love. What's that? Scarecrow asked. Gore placed the parchment underneath his arm and rose as he pointed to the sky. Perhaps it's the ray of the rising sun. He spun around and fell to an oak tree. Perhaps it's the bark of a mighty oak. The grizzly bear took one giant step towards Scarecrow while being mindful of the pixie. Or perhaps it's you or me. Clutching his chest, he whispered, I have to find true love, whatever it may be. He returned to his spot and plopped on the ground as he sighed heavily. The fate of these lands may depend on it. True love is food, Mr. Crow squawked as he nibbled upon the tree branch beneath his talons. Pebble stuck out her tongue and opened her mouth for a response, but Scarecrow held out his hand. What makes you believe such a thing? He leaned in, curious. He had not a clue what this true love was, but the grizzly bear spoke with such passion, fire, and desire that even he wanted to help him with his quest. Gore sighed again as he rolled up the parchment, returning it to his pack. Sadly, my memories are like grains of sand, lost in a desert I can't find on a map that no longer exists. Scarecrow watched the grizzly hunch over with a dejected sigh. He glanced up at the crow, who ate at the branch mindlessly, while the pixie, having lost interest, rummaged in her cloak pockets while whispering to herself. He analyzed each of their faces, trying to find the right words to say as if it had become his responsibility to cheer them up, but he felt just as lost. You have to believe in something, he muttered to himself as he unloosened the living sack, ignored the teeth, and pulled out the frayed red beanie. The fabric was beyond worn, and the tears were readily apparent. He thumbed the material and pictured the creator boy. Standing up, he took a deep breath while fidgeting with it, trying to find the courage to say something, anything. I woke up in a field of dead scarecrows with no recollection of how I got there. I don't know what brought me to life. He felt the brim of the pointed hat atop his head. Or something else entirely. He eyed Mr. Crow. While you're lost trying to find your nest, I've begun to recall memories of a world full of creators. The others gasped. Before they could ask questions, he got to a knee, commanding Pebble's attention. While you struggle to remember who or where your brother is, I've begun to recall a young boy that this beanie belonged to. The pixie looked up at him, holding back watery tears. Turning to Gore, he smiled. I may not remember what happened or who he was to me, but I know in here, he whispered, pounding his chest, that I have to find the answer. I have to believe that. I refuse to believe anything else. He spoke, a fire stoking his words. Maybe I can help each of you. He thought of Cloth, my new friends. The three of them were silent as they glanced at one another. Even the pixie was lost for words, which seemed to be a first. What's a few lost memories in the face of tracking down the first demon and putting a stop to the nothingness anyway? Chaos ensued as Gore punched the tree in a bout of rage. Mr. Crow tore through the rest of the branch and crashed to the ground, while Pebble wrapped her arms around herself, rocking back and forth. What lies is this, Scarecrow? Gore questioned, his demeanor tense. You goad me with nonsense about helping when you wish to sacrifice me to that monster. He grabbed the log and chucked it across the clearing, while Mr. Crow mumbled incoherently alongside Pebble on the ground. No, that's not. He's just a dumb scarecrow, Pebble stated, returning to her senses, standing and brushing herself off. Pebble, come on, You don't understand these lands, Pebble screamed. She hopped under a rock. Everyone is dead. The grizzlies, dead. The birds, dead. The pixies, probably dead. Scarecrow stumbled back. But we, pointing at him, and you, a burnin', brainless scarecrow, think you'll solve all our problems. Stop the first demon and save the world. You can't even save yourself. She puffed out her chest. Without me, you would be dead. In a frenzy of flapping, Mr. Crow kicked off into the air as his voice rose, the tone becoming slower. As his voice rose, his tone becoming slower, ancient even. Whither to despair in the face of death, youngling? Mr. Crow chirped as he flapped over to land on Scarecrow's shoulder. Cripple us with defeat, youngling? Mr. Crow continued. Face the unknown together, youngling, and defeat shall be ours! Mr. Crow chortled at the sky, spinning his head around in circles, once more lost in his own world. Scarecrow patted Mr. Crow on the head reassuringly. Arms crossed, Pebble snorted. Deal's a deal, Scarecrow. I take you to the brazier, and you give me the ruby gemstone. After that, sacrifice yourself to the demon for all I care. Followed by a deep breath, she muttered, Friends are fiction anyway. Scarecrow felt his chest, looked down at Pixie not with anger but sadness. He stepped closer to her and got to a knee. Holding out his hand, he waited until their eyes were locked and leaned in with a deep-seated smile. Friendship is the only thing we have right now. Pebble's glare dissipated as she dropped her arms, digging them into her pocket while maintaining eye contact with him. She flipped her hood up, kicking at the ground. I'm poking her head up slightly as her forest green eyes grew watery. Tiny hands moved around cloak pockets with increased tension as she stepped onto his hand, smacked a fist against her chest, and pronounced, I'm sorry, but I need to find my brother. Her expression intermingled bravado, confidence, and fear. I'll help you. Scarecrow waited until her frown was enticed by the bear's tint of a smile. Dumb Scarecrow. Spinning around, she plopped on his hand silently as they watched Gore pack his things. Which brazier are you taking them to, little pixie? The grizzly bear asked as he finished packing the rest of his parchments, calming himself down. The Colosseum of the Last. Gore whistled. You would take them into a tribe war, last held by the Wolf King, if memory serves. Pebble pounded her chest. I ain't afraid of no burning wolves. Eat them for breakfast. I'm sure you aren't, mighty pixie. You know the pixies were once thought to be purveyors of the essences. I knew that, Pebble retorted all too quickly, as Scarecrow placed her upon his opposite shoulder. Gore turned to them with a deep-seated sigh and a nod. Recollected. Again, apologies for my temper. I are a grizzly, Pebble mumbled. He nodded with a resolute look. Thank you for saving me, Scarecrow. Sincerely. Gore offered a gentle smile. I will not accompany you. A grizzly always trusts their gut, and any dealings with the wolves or the demon would be a disservice to my quest. Should we encounter each other again, my debt will be repaid. That I promise. Scarecrow nodded with a bittersweet smile. I understand, Gore. I hope you find this true love. Flinging the pack over his shoulder, the grizzly rolled his neck. I'm sure the pixie knows the right path, nodding toward a worn-out trail on the opposite side of the clearing. But should you follow this direction, it might lead to Forest Edge. Scarecrow bowed his head, trying not to show his dismay at the bear's rejection. Gore paused and winked. A great philosopher once said, belief's cornerstone is survival. He slung the pack over his shoulder and walked past them, stopping at the edge of the clearing. And word of warning, Scarecrow. Those burdened with kindness and false hope don't survive in the lands of the last. He left his mouth agape like he wanted to say something else, but shut it and glanced up at the sky before vanishing beyond the tree line. Scarecrow looked to either of his companions. Mr. Crow had returned to singing under his breath, while Pebble was lost deep in thought. He looked at the clearing and whispered, Together for now, friends. Even though neither of them said a word, the pixie nudged deeper into his shoulder, while the crow rolled onto his side. It was all that needed to be said. Wow. Oh my goodness. All right. I was like, end reading. Wow. So like I feel like I spent a little extra time on developing that chapter over the past week because like I've gone through a couple iterations of like how I wanted the chapter to come across. I was like, oh my goodness, that chapter came out way better than I thought it was going to. That chapter came out like way better than I was anticipating. I'm just like, I'm so happy with how it came out. I feel like the chapter has a lot of highs and lows to it, which is it's so powerful. I'm asking if there's any things that can be fixed, and I think any of the fixes are is a lot of like I think it's gonna be a lot of minor editing fixes. Like there were words here or there that I knew I could fix and minimize. But like for a second draft, I feel like that chapter's in a great place. Let me look in the chat. Morgana, oh my god, I'm hooked. Aw. Thank you so much, my friends. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Aw, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Hey, what's up, Marta? Welcome. Morgana, I'm hooked. Calvin, that was awesome, dude. I had a great setup and the tension was perfect. What's the deal, bro? I don't know what's going on, but that was cool. Aw. Well, thank you so much, my friends. I really appreciate that. Yeah, so what's the deal? This is about now 40% of the way into my dark fantasy adventure book, The Last Scarecrow. Yeah, so let's see. So the reason I had to read that aloud, like I really appreciate your guys' feedback, but when I write an emotional scene, like I have to hear it to myself before I move on. And it's not like I want to spend like a lot of time on it, but because I added this chapter because Gore didn't have a full setting. He didn't have a real introduction as a character, and Gore is going to become a predominant character, as predominant as Scarecrow, Crow, and Pebble. So like I really needed the setup for it. Now, originally my initial idea with the setup was I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do like a little short like downtime scene because all of the past chapters have all been huge obstacles that have really been that have really made the situation worse for the characters. It's probably been about 5 chapters since the characters have had like a downtime chapter. But when I was writing it, like just the natural rhythm of having that tension with Scarecrow wanting to help because Scarecrow is clearly an optimistic character with contrasted against Pebble and Mr. Crow. And I think it actually worked well. So like, I think I actually achieved more than I had originally intended, which is what I thought was cool. Yep. Yeah, some scenes are like that, like emotional scenes, like, especially when I'm writing one, I knew the emotional, aspect really had to come out. Morgana, like, I'm just having way too much fun being here. I really think that was very fun to hear. I can feel the stakes. Woo! I'm glad. I'm glad that you guys, I'm glad that it was, captivating. I'm really glad. I would I would love to hear for you guys who listen to. What did you guys I mean, so for you guys who listen to the excerpt, I know some of you guys who've been around for a while are much more familiar with the story. What do you guys think of the characters? Of just that scene alone, which character was your favorite or which character was your least favorite and why? I would just love to hear if there's if any of the four characters resonated with you between Scarecrow, Pebble the Pixie, Mr. Crow, which I think Mr. Crow kind of had the smallest ish part, but I think his moments were still impactful. I feel like I need to clean up his little. I think I need to clean up his dialogue just a little bit, because I feel like it needs to be a little clearer. But and then Gore, of course, this is his intro chapter. So awesome. Yeah, thank you for that. Really appreciate that. So like I totally don't usually start these things with a reading. That was more just because like I was being a little selfish. I needed to read this chapter aloud and hear how it sounded. But we actually do need to get into getting some writing. I just want to say, so before we get into the writing sprint, I just want to say, thank you very much. I really appreciate you guys listening, your feedback. Really, really huge. My very much appreciated, my friends. So, with that being said, let's get into some actual writing. I also feel really confident. Like I said, the end of this chapter marks 40% of the way through the novel. So, I feel pretty good about the next couple chapters. I don't think I'm going to have to do a lot more writing new chapters or rewriting at moving forward. I will have to do a few areas in the back end of the novel, but I think the next 8 chapters, I feel like they're in a pretty good place. I just need to cut them down. I probably just need to cut down. There's a section that I'm going to add. There is a section I'm going to add, but I feel pretty confident I should be able to get to the midpoint a little faster. So I have about 130 pages that I need to get through. We'll see. Hopefully I can do it in 2 weeks. We'll see, 2 weeks or less. Calvin, you're like, I like the Pebble to Pixie because she's right. They would be dead without her, but I also know she's very overtly confrontational. Yes, she is. Yep, that and I think that's what's the fun thing about her, right? I want her to be this like feisty little like fireball of a creature, but she's like she's an antagonizer for sure. Pebble's right, but she's also an antagonizer. Pixie had a lot of sass. Yes, she does. Pebble does have the most sass of all the characters. I think in the second draft, I'm finding a lot of people are really taking to Pebble the most, actually, which is really interesting. In the first, yeah, I think it's because the characters have such big personalities or quirky personalities, and that's really the type of characters that I love creating. Ah. Totally. Unfortunately, I can't say who was my favorite. I would need some more details about them, but overall 10/10. Well, what's the deal, bro? I would say just make sure you're following because I'm writing every day. And everyone here knows in the community, I talk about Scarecrow like all the time since it's the only thing I'm focused on. So I would say just stick around and yeah. I don't have the Scarecrow website launched yet. I want to get a little farther into the book. But I'll be launching the Last Scarecrow website soon. Once I feel confident in when I'm close enough to have a publishing date. So stick around, my friends. Okay, so I really appreciate y'all. Let's get into some actual writing. I'm like 30 minutes in and I haven't written yet. Clearly, Kaufman's getting distracted today. Oh man, but I was like, I do feel pretty happy about that chapter. I'm like, I feel good. I can move on. Okay, so originally I'm just gonna do 25 minutes for that first sprint. I'm gonna up that a little bit because I spent more time on reading that. I'm gonna just do this as a 30-minute sprint. All right, so let's all get some writing done. Let's sprint. Calvin. Nah, we're on Kauffman time. Calvin, you crack me up. I was like, I always remember that line from The Lord of the Rings. A wizard arrives precisely when he means to. He's never late. He's never early. That's how I feel. But Kaufman does want to be on time, though. Mary. Oh, Mary. So cool, my friend. Let's see. As I go to comments. Woo! So exciting. Welcome, my friend. Channel membership. So exciting. Really appreciate you. As like definitely deserves a round of applause. Woo! So always highly recommend. And of course, anybody who sees in the chat, over on YouTube, I have the YouTube channel membership. We have the $4.99 tier where you get the icons, the emojis. You get access to our weekly. There's actually two things that you're getting right now, which is cool. You're getting member only live streams, which I'm doing on Mondays every other week. And then you're also getting access to our bi-weekly accountability group, where I'm calling it accountability, but I think it's more like a writer's hangout sesh. It's kind of like a writer's mixer. It's a writer's mixer, and we also kind of do some accountability as well. The last one was actually super fun. And then the $9.99 tier, you get access to a free copy of the Freaky Friday Anthology, which was the first book published by our writing community. And you also get access to the monthly critique group where you can bring your stories to a private critique group, read it aloud with other writers, and get feedback. Our next critique group is this Friday. So, tomorrow. Our next critique group is tomorrow. So definitely make sure that if you're needing feedback on your stories and you want to be involved, become a channel member. You have until tomorrow to reach that $9.99 tier. Which, by the way, like $9.99 for a critique group of this quality is really, really good, by the way. Most content creators charge 50, 100, like hundreds for this type of thing. So I feel really good about where it's priced right now. Calvin, I love that. Hey, what's up? Unknown, you're like, I think I might break my rule and start writing my new dragon writing book, but I don't want to. I don't know, Unknown. Maybe your writing vibe is telling you to. Maybe your writing vibe is telling you like it's time. Calvin, you're like, if it's a mixer, where are the drinks? Well, we have to bring our own coffee, my friends. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into it. Let's get some writing done. Okay, so I am all ready. We are definitely going to be getting in some writing. So we'll chat more after the break. I would love to hear how all of your stories are coming along. I know I talked a lot with Scarecrow today. Would love to hear how all of your stuff is coming along. Let's get into the next break. I'll throw up the music and I am all ready. So whether you are brainstorming, writing, or editing, that's all part of the process because it's time to write now. All right, writing sprint done. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. How did you do on that one? I know I saw a couple of you. I saw my bad. Welcome to the stream, my friend. Saw you hop in. And I also saw, also welcome Coffee Create Connect. I love your name, by the way. That is such a great name. Hello, everyone. Been battling against dog distractions all day long, but I think I may have finally got the queen settled enough. I can focus. Let's pray. Woo, well, got to make sure that our furry friends are well taken care of, so that way they don't distract us too much or provide us as a muse. So I feel pretty confident you'll be able to get into these next couple sprints. Welcome. We just finished our first one. We'll be hopping into our next sprint in just a few minutes. Unknown, you said, when I'm going to start the new Dragon Rider book, I know you've been kind of contemplating going back and forth. But that's really awesome. That's really, really awesome, my friend. It sounds like you've kind of been like thinking about it and you're probably feeling a little more motivated for Dragon Riders. So good luck with the development for that. I am always a fan of if there's any type of writing problem that you have and you just don't know how to solve it, then put a dragon on it. We know that solves all the writing problems of the world. Putting a dragon on it. Wonderful, wonderful. So, awesome. Were you guys able to make any progress on that last sprint? Yeah, what did you guys do? Whether you got some words in, or maybe you were brainstorming, or maybe you were working on some like book related things, like maybe like author branding type stuff. I would love to hear. Drop a comment. Let's see, holistic. Ooh, this is exciting. You're like, today I announced I'll be writing in my writing course. Oh, that's as far as I got. Well, fan, pen, and journal. Holistic, that is awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm curious, what type of writing course is it? Is it one that like you're launching, or is it one that you're joining? Like, is it a type of school or like an online course? I would love to hear more. It is my goal to be able to do more online writing education, doing something that's a little more structured in the future, when I am in a place to put it together. So I'm always interested to learn what types of courses writers are looking for. Devin, yes. Like, can't do much without a dragon. Yes. Completely agreed. Absolutely agreed, my friend. It was like, we can't do much without a dragon. You know what's actually funny is this next chapter that I'm about to come to was like I think it's in 2 chapters. I got so stuck when I was writing on the rough draft. So my solution was I put dragons in it. And then I actually figured out how to make it work and incorporate it into the story. I didn't use a fully fleshed out dragon. In the world of the Last Scarecrow, I don't have dragons. I have a race called the Dragonkins. And there's, for a couple chapters, the Dragonkins um, partner with Pebble. Um, and essentially their entire race has just been wiped out, and they are in search for a cure for something that goes a little bit more story related. What I decided to do with dragons is that dragons the creatures we know as dragons have been long extinct, and the dragonkin is kind of like the overtime de-evolution of what dragons have become. Dragonkin is how dragons have kind of, I don't know if withered is the right form, because they still have a lot of dragon traits, but like the dragonkins are like really, really, really small. They're like mini dragons in a sense. I think they were once a full like dragon race. But over time they have been changed through both the area of the land that their race originates from, and then their how magic has affected their race. They've undergone some severe hardships for sure, which I will be exploring a little bit more of the Dragonkins background in one of the future books. I'll be exploring a little bit more in one of the future books because it pertains to the greater world a little bit more. Ooh, what's the deal, bro? Nice. Like demons. They look like humans, but have completely white skin and have red eyes. They have golden blood, which if a human drinks it, they become like slaves to said demon. But after a while, the human needs to drink more and more of the demon's blood, or they lose control. But also after a while, so much demon blood will make a human go mad and act feral and monstrous. Thoughts on this concept? So that's actually really interesting. They look like humans, but have completely white skin, golden blood. Mm. This is a really interesting one. It's almost like this is like this type of demon is like a cross, or this species is like a cross between like a demon and a succubus in a way. Which I mean, I guess we could argue a succubus is probably a type of demon, but it's kind of that cross, kind of mixed with vampirism. That's kind of like succubus and like a vampiric succubus, in which the creature to survive, other people drink their blood, they become kind of slaves and like a slave like nature. I know there's a word for it, I'm just forgetting, not underlings, but some type of dynamic, and then they end up becoming reliant on their blood to survive. And I think I've seen that kind of work for some type of vampire things. I feel like I've seen that somewhere, but I think you could probably take that to a different extreme. Don't do vampirism, do something that's more demonic related, and acting the human. If they don't get the blood, they start acting feral and monstrous. Yeah, and that's actually kind of cool. I mean, you could play into them, the people who drink the demon blood, if they don't get it, becoming more you go in like a zombie direction, then becoming less and less human, or you can end up they become more like demonic type creatures. That could be a lot of fun. That seems like that would be like a really intense world. That would actually be really fun to write, by the way. Sounds really, really cool. Tiara, also getting the stuff out of the way. Aw, thanks. I appreciate ya. Yeah, like you, this is a class for me. You and me both, my friend. I learned from you guys. That's really, really awesome. Yeah, I try to, I know the daily streams, we do a lot of writing sprint stuff. I I'm getting back into posting videos as well that provide more like specific education about writing. So I'll actually be having a video posted up hopefully tomorrow, hopefully in the next couple of days. So we'll have a video up soon, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to post some more long form videos for you guys to help give you guys more specific writing instruction and writing tips and all that stuff. Ooh, Devin, that's so exciting. My artist shared the first sketches of my spicy scene. So excited to include in my Kickstarter. Yes, Devin, that is so incredible. I know you literally just launched your Kickstarter, right? Let's see, Devin. I have to think. Devin, what's your Kickstarter under? Mm-hmm. Let's see. Let's go. Devin. Gambro Kickstarter. Let's see. I got your website. Funds for Dresden Duology. I think it is this one. Yep, yep, yep. That looks like your book. That is very, very cool. So you're launching it soon. Notify me on launch. Oh, it's all right because I'm not logged into Kickstarter. I just need a login. That's on my to-do list. So that's very, very cool. By the way, guys, you guys should definitely go support Devin. Such another really, really great writer. Devin, I've also joined Devin and Shannon with the AuthorTube Writing Conference, which I'll be hosting with them this summer. So Devin's very, very cool. And Devin, I just dropped your link down in the YouTube chat. You guys should go follow her. It's always great to support other authors in the community. Yeah, very, very cool. I'm such a fan of witches, magic. I love those covers. Those covers are super cool. I was like, I'm totally learning from you guys if I end up doing a Scarecrow Kickstarter at all. Wow, what's the deal? That sounds really cool. You're talking about the sedative for demons. Low dose can make hallucinations. Some before in a coma, side effects with demons and humans, oblivion syndrome. It's actually really cool. It kind of sounds like the world that you're creating is like a cross between like a demonic world and kind of like a science. It's like demonic demon world meets a science world. Maybe some type of, because you mentioned the total brain death type thing. So I'm totally getting a zombie vibe. I'm getting like demon world and a zombie world clash. It's kind of the vibe that I'm getting on it so far. It's actually super cool. That's really, really cool. I'm curious. Sounds like you're getting some brainstorming. Are you kind of thinking this is going to be like a short story or more like a novel or graphic novel? Sounds really cool. All right, my friends. So, on that note, let's get into our next writing sprint. Let's do it. So, and by the way, if you're enjoying the stream, follow and subscribe. I'm here every day with the Right Now community, 430 plus consecutive streams and counting. If you want a daily writing community with writers of all skill levels, of all genres, this is the place for you. We got writing sprints, writers group, critique streams, author interviews, a fiction contest, a book club, and much, much more. So make sure if you want to be alerted to what we got going on to tap that follow or subscribe button right now. All right, my friends. So how to make sure that I get that subscribe ad in. Let's get on to writing sprint number 2. And because my timing kind of sucks today, so we are going to do another 30 minutes, going to take us to the 45-minute mark. Okay. So, what am I going to do? Okay, here's what I'm going to do because I'm kind of pushing on time a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, instead of doing this as a third sprint, I'll only have time to do one more sprint, but what we'll do is we're going to do this a much longer sprint. So that way we can get more work in. Okay. So 30 minutes. What can I do? I can probably do about 45 minutes. So let's make this a 45-minute sprint. Let's try to get some work in. I feel consistent. I feel like I can actually accomplish that. I'm literally just I'm right now I'm combining the next couple chapters together, so I'm kind of talking through that on my end. So let's do it. Let's do another writing sprint. We'll do 45 minutes for this writing sprint. We'll make it a little longer, and let's see what we can get into. All right. Whether you are brainstorming, writing, or editing, it's all part of the process. Come join us because it's to write now. All right, my friends. Ah, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. We made it. We made it through the writing sprint. So it was really, really cool. I feel like we were able to make some solid progress today. Yeah, I was like, I know that I wasn't able to get into the third writing sprint today, but I feel like we made some awesome progress today on a writing. I feel I made awesome. I'm decided I'm combining the next 3 chapters because I'm trying to cut down. I've done a lot of adding in the last 10 chapters, give or take, and I feel like this next story arc, which I'm now about 40% of the way through the second draft, 40 to 50%, I'm combining a couple chapters because I want to get them to the midpoint a little sooner. So I feel pretty good about what I'm doing. I was kind of doing some planning on my end. I hope you were able to get some writing stuff done on your end as well. And once again, thank you all for listening. I know I did. I know I was really happy with how that last chapter came out. Christina in Penumbra. So glad you guys were able to hop in near the stream. You're catching us near the end of it. I did do another Scarecrow excerpt reading near the beginning of the stream, which everyone seemed to like. So I would definitely recommend checking out the replay if you want to check it out. And for the rest of you, thank you so much for dropping by. I feel like we got some good progress. Mary, like 170 words. Nice. I was like, how many words did I get? And I was like, I was kind of planning out. Yeah, I was kind of doing more planning on my end. I was like, how much? Oh, I was like surprised. I got about 500 words. Yeah. I was like, I didn't even think that I got that much. Um, yeah, but I was trying to do a lot of planning for how I was going to combine these next 3 chapters. So, okay, I feel like, yeah, I think we got some solid progress. And yeah, thanks all for joining me today. As we look towards creative writing on the morrow, I'll be back tomorrow with another daily writing stream. Tomorrow is Friday, same time, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. I'll be here. Come join us as we try to get in some more writing shenanigans, some more writing craziness leading up into the weekend. And don't forget, for all of our YouTube channel members, the ones who are at the YouTube Right Now member tier, which is the higher one, our critique group, our private critique group is going to be tomorrow. It's going to be tomorrow after the stream. So for those of you who want to be involved in the critique group, make sure you've subscribed and or upgraded to the right tier so that way you can join us. All the information is posted on the Right Now YouTube channel under the post tab. So definitely make sure to come join us. For everyone else, this weekend we got some fun things this weekend. This Saturday, we're doing the live author interview with author ML Claxon for the Read Now Book Club. For those of you who are not book club members, all you have to do is down in the YouTube description, just sign up. Absolutely free. We're reading Dead Caster, which is a paranormal fantasy for our March book of the month. And we'll probably start doing the polling for what the April book is going to be starting next week. So yeah, and then Sunday, we have the next episode of the Create Right Now podcast, where I have a really cool author interview, and we're going to be talking about how you can be your own hero in a world where writing can be so difficult. We're going to be talking about some mental health beliefs, some common inconsistencies, as I am interviewing author Brittany Renew, who is another published author, and I love her journey. So we definitely got some fun things. This is a weekend full of interviews. So we got some fun interviews. Love the 5 author interview. I know we definitely got some fun author interviews this week. And those of you, of course, who've missed out on some of our previous Create Right Now podcast episodes, everything's linked down in the YouTube description down below. If you enjoyed the stream, tap that like button. Help us show the algorithm that writing streams are cool. All right, my friends. Thank you all for joining. I am so excited, whether you're involved in the book club, the channel membership, or anything else in general. I'm making such awesome progress with Scarecrow. I hope you're making progress with your stuff, and that is great. But unfortunately, this brings us to the end of the stream. Don't forget, words are wind, but stories are forever. I'm Kauffman, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Stay creative, my friends.
Right now.
Right
Right
now.
now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Because it's time to